So, with the prospect of several more hours, just like this, which is motor sailing mode, well, really motoring with a steadying sail towards the destination, no prospect of any exciting sailing anytime soon. So I thought, why not use the opportunity to do just a little bit of a boat tour. Not a big tour, not a grand tour, not a detailed tour, just a little bit of a tour, so you get a sense of what sailing vessel Fogg is all about. So I'll break it into two parts. I'll do a few minutes above deck and then a few minutes below deck. So just to recap, Fogg is a Jeanneau. It's a 2013 Jeanneau Sun Odyssey 50 DS. That's the deck saloon. So that's the raised cockpit, raised cabin, raised saloon. So everything's a bit raised. You get more stowage. You'll see that later. So quick tour of above deck, and I'll also give you, one thing I love about Fogg and one thing I hate, or maybe hate's a bit of a strong word. Maybe one thing I would change. One thing I'd change. So moving on, starting quickly at the back, as you can see, dinghy on davits. That was an absolute must-have criteria for the next boat, as when we were looking. As you can see, they're quite skinny davits in the grand scheme of things. So I've gone for a very lightweight setup. That's a true kit dinghy, 3 metre, weighs no more than 30 kilos, and as you can see, I've got an electric outboard on the back there, which itself weighs, I think about 15-16 kilos. So all up, pretty light package. You can also see I've got a big conventional outboard there. It's a Jeanneau 15 two-stroke for the odd occasion when we might need some more power or distance that the electric can't provide. Haven't used it yet since I had the electric. You should know. Twin helm stations, sort of conventional setup. Plotter down here, and the usual kind of array of instruments and bow thruster control and anchor control over here. So nothing too remarkable. Very handy though, a couple of large electric winches, Harken 60s I think they are, 2-speed electric. They really make everything so easy. It almost feels like cheating. Rest of the cockpit, nice and spacious. Came with these lovely cockpit cushions. I've only got some of them out, as you can see. I put them out as required. The usual kind of centre cockpit folding flappy setup. And then the sheet winches, sorry, not the sheet winches, the halyard winches. So another electric Harken over there. I use that for furling the jib, for furling the main, and for the main sheet when required. And over here there's a manual winch which I use for mainly outhaul and the vang. And then up on deck, pretty simple and self-explanatory. So a couple of solar panels which do a little bit, not a hell of a lot to be honest. It's on the agenda to upgrade solar one day. You can see a life raft up the front there, one of those things you hope you never need obviously. And well forward, just this side of the anchor locker, you can see that big lid. Now that is a game changer. That is a massive cockpit, what am I saying? That's a massive sail locker. It is huge. I won't wander up there now carrying the phone, I'll probably lose my balance or something. It's huge. I can stand inside there and close the lid. My wife sometimes has wanted to do that, but we can stow a ton of stuff in there. So in there I've got the famous spinnaker that's never been used by me. I've got a paddle board, I've got fishing rods standing vertically, and a bunch of other bits and pieces. So that really helps. So there you have it. Oh, and the mast. Let's not overlook the sails. After all, it is a sailing boat, or supposed to be. Furling jib, as you can see, fairly standard. Also the furling main. Now look, to be honest, when Fogg came, or when we were considering the purchase, I should say, I wasn't a big fan of the idea of a furling, in-mast furling main. I've got several friends who had furling mains on the boom, and I've always thought if something goes wrong with the in mast, you know, it might be a bit of a problem, whereas if it jams on the boom you can drop it. If it jams in the mast halfway in or out, you might have a real problem. So far, fingers crossed, there's a little bit of a knack to using it. I haven't had any problems, and I would say I'd never go back. Lastly, what are the things I love and hate about upstairs on Fogg? Well, I have to say I love the sheer amount of cockpit space, the amenity, and yeah, basically space. But that's no secret. I mean, it's a 50-foot boat. You'd expect it to come with a lot of space, but it has a lot of space, and that's fabulous. What is the one thing I might change up here? Well, somewhat annoyingly, of the two wheels, the left-hand helm is the portside helm is, you know, the driving seat, if you like, with the engine throttle and main controls. And stupidly, Jeanneau have chosen to put the engine exhaust over that side as well, so it splutters out there. And on occasions, as a result, if you are at that helm station and the engine's running and you need to be sat there, you can get quite a lot of sort of backwash and smell of diesel fumes, which is not ideal. On my previous Jeanneau, which was a 42 DS, it was the other way around, so I can't remember. I think the helm station was that side and the exhaust was the opposite. Whichever way it was, they were separated, which seemed a good idea. Anyway, that's a small complaint. Otherwise, in the grand scheme of things, in a boat that we love dearly. So hopefully that gives you just a brief taste of upstairs.